Nice one. Finally get a chance to sit down and write some music. This is going to be a productive session. Wait. No.
Oh yes.
We've all had those times. We finally get to sit down and be super creative. So many thoughts and cool ideas running through our heads. We just want to let them explode into life with the DAW open in front of us. And then we flatline. Sometimes a 4-bar loop is made, but that's been looping for 20 minutes now. Nothing new, nothing exciting. Or maybe you sit down with no idea, hoping for something to manifest out of the creative jet stream, continually flowing around us. But nope, you spent 10 minutes going through snare samples. Then one of two things happens. Pure and unadulterated rage. Screw this stupid music making. I hate it. Go away. And off into Sulkland we go. Or you keep persevering until you are just sat staring into the screen before you. Then the subtle voice of doubt starts whispering. Who are you kidding? You really think you're good enough to make music? Let alone good music? Existential horror starts to set in. Why did you even think this was a good idea? You suck at making music. Maybe everyone was right. Go get a real job. Grow up. So you rage quit or you distract yourself with the banality of social media, scrolling for hours until you exhale that one solitary breath of laughter at a meme that's 5 layers deep. Or has this just happened to me? Can anyone else relate? A point that I think is important to mention before we fully get into it. This video isn't here to give the magic formula, the secret set of instructions that people think exists. When it comes to writing music, there isn't one. We all approach the subject in our own way, and in a lot of ways that is what makes music truly beautiful. We all come at it from our own individual perspective. But if you're stuck, let's talk about some ways of thinking. Things to help break the cycle and how to move forwards productively. The first thing to talk about is limitations and setting limits for yourself. Now this might seem quite counterintuitive when you first think about it, but when you have a completely blank canvas, you often get lost. So having that sort of defined rule set can help in a way. So yeah, set some rules for yourself. Maybe it's only use a certain amount of instruments or only a few synths, or having specific channels laid out in a way in your project. Make yourself a template. That could be a good way instead of just having a blank project every single time you start making music and you don't know where to begin. Another thing, work in blocks of time. If you feel like you're going to sit down and do that 6-hour super creative session, sometimes you start for 5 hours doing nothing. So work in blocks of half an hour or even 10 minutes, 5 minutes. See how that helps. Yeah, stop approaching a blank canvas all of the time. Now, sometimes this can be useful if you've got this idea in your head, but this video is to talk about when you don't have those ideas in your head. Sometimes limiting yourself to just one synthesizer. Now, I did this for quite a few years. I only used Massive for about 2 years and then Serum for 3 years. And now I mainly only use Vital. But just using that one synth and learning it inside and out, instead of having hundreds and hundreds of different tools that you still don't know where to begin with. This might help stop you being constantly overwhelmed by the infinite possibilities laid before you. For example, the music that you're hearing behind this, I set myself one rule: make a tune using 2 chords, and then I started to jam. When you sit down to make music, most of the time what you're going to make is not going to be that good. And that is okay. You can't manifest the magic of writing amazing songs on demand all of the time. Hell, probably not even 10% of the time that you sit down and write music. Think of every band, composer and artist to ever live, and then consider their library of work. Do you think that's all they wrote? Do you think each time they sat down to write that they just had that great idea, that new song in their head all of the time? That there are no forgotten or unreleased projects? Of course there aren't. So the point being is take those moments when you don't really have those great music ideas, when what you're writing isn't capturing your imagination, and use those moments as times for exercise or practice, as opportunities to learn about your craft, so that maybe the next songwriting session that you sit down to might be when that creative lightning strikes again. It's also okay not to be that good at making music, especially when you're just starting out. Or even if you're many years into this journey, there's always something new to learn. Let go of your ego for a moment. Humble yourself to the timeless art that has captured the imagination of nearly every human being that's ever existed. You really think you're that good at this, that you've tamed music, that you can manipulate it to your will whenever you want, at your own whim? No, we're not God. And we're going to make mistakes when we try to make something. And again, that is okay. Give yourself the chance to learn, even if it makes you feel dumb or weak. Reflect on the journey that you're on. You're way further ahead now than you were a week, a month, a year ago. Although that does require that you are willing to learn and move forwards and keep trying and wanting to explore. TLDR, have you tried being a student of music rather than a know-it-all? When was the last time you tried a new way of making music? Do you start every song the same way, with drums, with bass, however it is you started, are you doing it the same way all of the time? And now you're finding each successive tune that you're making is just a derivation of the tune that you made previously. Have you tried bending the rules or the rules you've set for yourself just a little bit? Instead of always using that one synth, have you tried using a different one? You can't grow if you place yourself in perpetual rigidity. Take a risk, try something new, try being unconventional for once. Imagine trying to swim for the first time and you go to the ocean to try it. Most likely you're going to drown because you didn't have the required skill set that you needed. Now think about music in this way. Are you trying to write a really cool chord sequence but you don't even know where C is on the keyboard? Or maybe you're trying to write crazy drum fills but you don't really have a rudimentary knowledge of rhythm. Or maybe you have a little bit more research and knowledge under your belt but now you think you're ready to run a marathon. That last bit, I struggled with that for a while. I had a little bit more knowledge but I was trying to just run with it all the time and hitting that dead end. Once I started making music, I became full of hubris. I remember saying, yeah, I can do everything now. Then I would get humbled because I wasn't bad, but I wasn't amazing at making music yet. Learn to discover where your weaknesses and strengths are and what your ability level is at. Then play in that arena and have some fun, but always be open to learning new things and pushing yourself that little bit harder. Obviously at the pace that you can work at though. Just because someone else is better than you doesn't mean that you suck. Something I found very useful when I get stuck in a loop, or if I'm feeling particularly creatively bereft, is to do something else like maybe sound designing or practicing on my bass, for example. And in that playtime, sometimes a tone or an idea will emerge. A new timbre will appear that sparks the imagination again. And then all of a sudden, I'm writing a song. Some of my best work has come from happy accidents, where I didn't force it into existence, but it visited me from a seemingly unrelated plane. So yeah, try walking off the beaten path for a moment. Sometimes you might find your way back to the songwriting highway. Sometimes you need to walk away. We only have so much mental stamina to create. This can be from the single session of writing to the periods of time that span months. Burnout is a real thing and you have to learn to spot the signs for yourself when that's starting to happen, before it consumes you for way longer than you wanted it to. This is something that I still struggle with particularly, but I am learning to spot the signs sooner, so those periods of time when I'm not making anything are a little bit shorter. So take the time to listen to your favourite songs. or go on a journey of discovering music that is new to you. Take a walk, experience life for a moment. You cannot sustain creativity in isolation all of the time. Reality around us can often be our muse. Engage with it, and when you are ready, come back and direct that newly acquired perspective into your work. As I said near the beginning of this video, there are no quick and easy answers to making music. No real formula to create a banger every time you sit down to work. Unless you want to be the next generic trend follower, then really this chat wasn't for you anyway. Stop thinking of music as a product to consume, but as something to understand and explore life with. A way to share yourself with the world around you. Or even if it's just a hobby, remember why you wanted to make music in the first place. If it wasn't because that inner child in you enjoyed the playful nature and the fun that it brought, then maybe you need to reconnect with that. Money should never be the first reason you're making music. If it is, then you are missing the point. Excitement, curiosity, the fervor to learn more, to experience the previously unknown, these are good reasons to make music. Find something to connect to within this medium, and the path can often present itself. Hopefully the thoughts and questions in this video will give you a fresh way to get out of that rut that you may find yourself in. Or it could just be a skill issue, and in that case you just need to get good. I want to open the conversation up to you now. What things help you break the cycle of not being able to write? How do you learn to move forwards in this never-ending journey of discovery? What do you do to make your writing sessions more productive? Anyway, as always, thank you for watching. Never stop learning, and until next time, God bless.